I'm Jordan McSavany and I'm the marathoner.
I'm Delaney Smotherman and I'm the leader.
I'm Abby and we'll get to my role.
I'm Hannah Wyman and I was the medic.
I'm Scott McDonald, I was the photographer.
Okay, so to start off with, when we all signed on to the program, my screen said that I didn't have a role assigned to me. We took every precaution leading up to the simulation to make sure that that didn't happen, however it did, and to roll past it because we were meeting at 7 in the morning, which was the only time we could meet. The rest of the group did the simulation and I took minutes and I gave advice when I could.
Okay, so what did you guys think went well for the simulation?
I think overcoming that technical difficulty was good at first. Like we all did that pretty quickly and decided to move forward really well.
I think that the meetings and agendas that we had were really set in stone and worked well. We planned the meeting before he even assigned it.
Yeah, I thought that was really good, and having us in a group text made it easy to communicate, and also scheduling the next meeting after one of our meetings was done.
Yeah, I definitely think that was a good thing that we had was the communication. The group text, we were always on top of it and very structured.
What is stuff that was difficult for us?
Obviously the technical difficulty was a problem. I also think that we were prepared in every communication aspect of how we could come together. We didn't really prepare though for the simulation itself, which means what could we do in the simulation to ensure a good percentage or us to get to the top of the mountain. I think we didn't really think about the goals maybe.
And we didn't even know what each other's roles were. We just sort of we figured it out as we were doing the simulation on who needed what, who was what everyone's goals were, but it still wasn't clear between us.
Yeah, we definitely rushed through the process. I think we just wanted to get things done, which hurt us in the end once we saw the final score. And then once we saw the final score, we talked about how we could have communicated better. So I think honestly, doing bad on the simulation made us learn more about the concepts of group interaction because you realize how important it is and communicating.
I don't think we put enough effort into socializing as a group before we started it. We just started as all separate individuals and then formed a group at the end instead of going in and starting to form a group and then doing the simulation.
Yeah, I definitely learned from the mistakes that we made. So our next simulation we'll know to read through it and dive deeper into the background information to be successful.
What aspects of the course material were most relevant for understanding our simulation experience?
Okay, so the aspect that I found I related to for the simulation was that last class, October 5th, we discussed meeting minutes. And so obviously since I wasn't a role in the actual simulation, we thought we'd take that skill and put it into action. And so I took minutes, which actually helped us a lot reflecting afterwards.
Okay, so the system that we were trying to be involved in was assigning each other roles and sort of picking and choosing our own roles, but then we realized that they were assigned to us. So that sort of changed the dynamic because we were expecting to have a certain role for a week. We were planning it.
Yeah, I agree. Another course material that I noticed throughout the simulation is from the book, 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, and we had absence of or lack of commitment and avoidance of accountability, and none of us held each other really accountable to know their roles before we came into the meeting, and then no one was really committed into knowing their roles and knowing what to do exactly for the simulation. So when we got together, we just kind of guessed throughout, which made us get through it in 15 minutes when we should have spent at least an hour on it, which could have probably been better for us.
I think that also kind of goes into group development, which is we went at it and focused on our individual roles. So each stage of the simulation, we thought, what is best for us? What do I need? What's my health right now? Instead of really going and developing ourselves as a group and saying, what do you need? What do you need? And working together to make those decisions to go to the next step.
Yeah, I think that's one thing. Bringing it all back to teamwork. Is I don't think we were really confused as what we needed to do in the beginning. So I think we kind of struggled a little bit with the communication. But as soon as we kind of got our our bearings. I think we figured it out. Started talking more, like you said.
And even after like when we saw the results at the end, we all were like, oh, we had personal goals,
Yeah.
and like we
Yeah,
had no
we had no
idea
idea.
going into it. So like you being the medic, when you're like, oh, someone needs an inhaler, you thought you'd just give him one, but we all didn't know what exactly we needed to get through. And even without the environmentalists, which was kind of hard because then they got off the mountain, so and we didn't even know what was really happening.
Yeah.
We didn't really discuss each other's health levels either. We would just say our percentage of health when we didn't really go through every single aspect of what we were struggling with. So I didn't know as the medic what to give people, and I didn't know that there was only a certain amount of oxygen canisters and inhalers that I could give. So I gave one during, I think, the third round, and then I had run out. So we didn't really, we weren't able to complete getting to the next 2 levels.
Yeah, especially like me being the leader, I didn't know I had like a lot of roles. Like out of my percentage, it was like 7 out of 20, and 20 is like a lot, and I had no idea that I had to do a lot of things in order for us to get to the top.
I think we learned more from our results than we did from anything else. When we looked
Yeah.
at our percentages, realizing everything. Alright, so how was the planning and coordination and group development of our simulation? Like the overall process on completing it?
So to begin with, we had a designated day that we had all planned to meet, and then I found out later in the week that I was unable to meet that day. So the whole team worked around my schedule, and we were able to find another time that worked for all of us because we all have like polar opposite schedules. So I found that really nice and rewarding for all of us because we were able to like accommodate for others.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing that we got on early was like we started a group text and like really like developed that relationship early so we could work around each other's schedule and make it work.
We also worked out all the planning for meeting together, which we did a really great job on. We are all here ready, as they said. However, once again, we didn't really prepare for the simulation itself, which would have been really nice. I think we could have done more research like online, looking at other people's past experience with Everest. I think we could have asked around. I think we could have asked our professors, what do we really need to know to make sure that we can make it to the top? So we didn't do the goals. We kind of weren't really communicating that well during the simulation. I think when we were in the simulation, we were trying to like race to the top of the mountain and see how fast we could get there. When we weren't waiting at each base camp, reading everybody's medical situations out loud, we weren't discussing goals at each step. We waited till it was all over to be like, oh, that's what we had to do.
We also decided to stay another night at the first base camp, which we should have saved our stay for a later on base camp when the conditions got tougher.
Yeah, I don't think we really discussed that part of staying because I think that would have helped us a lot throughout the simulation because we noticed that your prediction was off in temperature, and so we like freaked out and we're like, oh, we should stay. And we didn't really think that, oh, this could happen on the third day where it's probably colder since we're higher up and people are getting sick.
Yeah.
And so I think that was something we learned is we just need to take our time and like evaluate the pros and cons of like each time at the base.
I don't think that the simulation itself was hard, but I think that we went into it thinking that the entire process would be way more straightforward and easier than it was, and that there wasn't as much thinking. We just thought there wasn't going to be as much, decision making as there actually was either.
Okay, Kat.
All right, one thing I definitely think we could improve on is the just being prepared. Maybe like reading the assignment more and like talking it over as a group before we actually like go in on assignment day. And just dive in. I think that definitely helps us out next time.
One thing that I think we can improve upon for next time is open communication throughout the simulation because we are so strong in our communication before, and then we got to the day of the simulation and it just shut off. It was pretty much a silent room when we were completing it, and I think that just worked to our disadvantage.
I think that next time we should work on taking our time through the simulation and not rushing through it.
I think also like we need to hold ourselves accountable and like also the team in general to like know your role and like know what's expected of you throughout the simulation, and that will just make us work better as a team. So while we're going throughout the simulation, we can like work out issues and know what problems might occur and like we'll know how to fix it.
I agree with all that. I think something that I took away is that no matter how prepared I am in my role, it's not going to count if I don't know what your guys' roles are, and no matter how confident we are in ourselves, it's not going to matter in a group situation unless we can all talk openly about each other's roles and help each other in that way. I think one of the biggest things we learned is we all kind of went into this group project away from the class thinking that these concepts we had learned in class were all just kind of common sense and that it's easy to work in a group and it'll be fine, we've done it our whole lives. And I think at the end we finally were like, oh my gosh, these concepts we've been learning about are actually really relevant and really important and have a lot more meaning, and we really need to work to apply those more than we thought we needed to at the beginning.
Yeah, like we definitely learned that the foundation of a group and like teamwork is highly essential to like be successful in like a group setting. So like for future jobs, we'll like know how to communicate better and know the steps from the 5 dysfunctions of a team on how to be successful as a group and know the concepts from class and apply them to like everyday life.